course, today we are discussing the Manhattan Projects, written by Jonathan Hickman, with art by Nick Patera, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Russ Wooten, and there is another guest artist for Chapter 10. I'm assuming that is issue 10, which is Ryan Brown. Um, we'll go ahead and get started with our general thoughts on the book. And normally I would have like 12 questions written down for these book clubs. Today I have seven because this book is such a mind melter for me. Like, there are a couple of books, TV shows, video games that I would describe as an acid trip. This book is an acid trip with all of the concepts that Jonathan Hickman tries to explore in the book. We have Nazis, we have aliens, we have an AI, Roosevelt, we have Oppenheimer, who ate the heart of his brother, and he eats the hearts of other creatures. It goes all over the place. But at the same time, it is a fun acid trip. Like, I just take it for the ride that it is. I try not to think too heavily into everything that went on in the book. So for me, I did have a lot of fun reading it, but it it goes very far out there. Um, Carter, what did you think of the Manhattan Projects?
Yeah, it was pretty much my same assessment. Um, like I had mentioned in the book club, I kind of thought it was going to be closer to actual history.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I know that much about actual history. I haven't even watched that Oppenheimer movie.
Same.
Um, but yeah, there was some crazy shit, and I definitely didn't expect it to go. I feel like nearly every issue is a plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind of thought it was at first, oh, here's crazy American experiments. And then by the end of issue one, it's like, oh, he's actually a psychopath. And so I kind of thought he was going to be the focus of the story. And then that wasn't the case. And then
Mm-hmm.
here's all these countries, you know, plotting together. And it's just constantly changing to a point where I'm like, I don't really even know what the story is about. So it was pretty crazy in a
We're,
good way.
we're in the same boat there. Like, I could try to dig for some meaning, but for me, it's just a fun roller coaster ride. And yeah, it did not go in the direction that I thought it would. It was sort of like Jonathan Hickman just kept saying yes and, like, yes, there are aliens in the universe, but also so on and so forth. So it was interesting to see the sort of shenanigans Hickman would get these characters into. Uh, Cosm, what are your thoughts on the Manhattan Projects?
Yeah, um, the book might as well have been called Ballerina for the amount of pirouette flips and twists it does doing along the way. Same with what Owl said. It's not a book you have to break down essentially. You don't have to overthink it, and even if you want to try it, it doesn't get you anywhere. I would say that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean to say that it's not fun or that it is not worth the ink that is printed on the paper. But yeah, it I went into it with zero regards. Like I had no prior knowledge of it beyond Hickman, and it is the first thing of Hickman that I actually wrote. I found it very easy to read. So the text is just natural. It kind of flows, so you don't have to. I found Tinian's book that what we reviewed last time found a lot more tougher and slower to get through. This was just fun, light reading. Turn off your brain and just see a very weird, campy movie unfold before your eyes. Yeah, I agree with many of you guys. Like, it goes everywhere. Even with things like okay, sure, interesting, but yeah, if it actually goes anywhere, I mean, yeah, I think the biggest interpretation, if you want to have any meaning of it, is that there is always the scientists are always either fucked over. You know, they start off maybe well intentioned, sort of ish, but at the end there's always somebody who is essentially co-opting their life's work into their own Machiavellian machinations and or end goals. And there is a little bit of difference here and there, but beyond that, it's about the same thing. So yeah, overall, nice. I was reading the deluxe version of it. It's a nice build, looks good. Issues 1 to 10, I believe. So yeah.
Yeah, and this book showcases scientists with no restraints on them. They're allowed to do whatever they want with it, and because of that, it gets them into some crazy scenarios. And even then, you have their own governments like going up against them because they're like, no, we're in charge. But then the scientists are like, actually, you're not, and we're gonna kill you now, which was interesting to see during the last couple
Yeah.
of issues. Uh, Letrix, what are your general thoughts on the Manhattan projects?
Yeah, exactly as you said, they are left to their own devices to just invent things. And what comes along is the Tory eye that they uh, grab hold on, and it's a portal fueled by Zen Buddhist monks and death monks or death Buddhists.
That's Buddhas or something.
Yeah. So now they have the means to travel between places because they caught it, and uh, they have to find various ways to keep it alive as well, to power it. But um, they are clearly trying to find all kinds of means to travel across the globe, but also when Einstein opens, well, it was Feynman.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. He figures out how to open it, and it turns out, yeah, the real Einstein already did that, but this is not the real Einstein. He's from an alternative place, dimension, and he locked out the real Einstein, so we didn't even meet the real Einstein. He was, and that's why he couldn't figure out how the thing worked. He's not as smart as the real Einstein. But they figure it out, and it's also triggers the aliens to come, and they meet with the Russians, and the aliens are not the ones they used to meet. They used to come around every once in a while, and they met at the same place. No, this is another alien. They've taken over the whole civilization. They're going to do the same with us, but they want our way of travel. They can travel faster than light, but they cannot move from one place to another through a portal, and they want that. So that triggers the whole. I I think you could say that that's the underlying plot. They need to expand. They need to find means to fight back and maybe even conquer other universes or galaxies. Yeah, and it's a super crazy book. It's you're not going to find anyone to really like. It's more like they are really fun characters to follow and see what the hell is going on in this book.
Yeah, like all of these characters are bad to a certain extent. Like even say just a regular scientist like Feynman, uh he helped create the FDR AI that would then go on to attack the rest of the scientists. So he still has some fault into it. Now there are certain characters that are definitely more evil than others. And we can actually get into that with my next question, which is, what did you think of the changes Hickman made to people like Oppenheimer, Einstein, etc.? So with Oppenheimer, we know that it's his brother, and his brother killed the good Oppenheimer, ate his heart so that his brother would become a part of him, and now you have this crazy psychopath that's a part of this science division. And eating his brother isn't the only thing he does. He also eats the heart of the alien that visits Earth. And we learned that each time he does that, like, that person or that creature gets added into his subconscious, so they're able to chime in onto it. And that was a really interesting and, again, acid trip of a take on Oppenheimer. Um, I probably liked Einstein the most because it's a mystery that has yet to be unsolved with the issues that we read. Of course, we read issues 1 through 10. And so Einstein, the real one, or the good one, being shoved through the portal by the evil Einstein, by his evil counterpart, is like, all right, where's that going to go? Is the other Einstein going to make it out alive and is going to come back to our world? That could be very interesting to see. I also like how the doorway used pi as the passcode, uh, which is, of course, very Einstein. Um, as far as like the other scientists, I wasn't too familiar with them. Like, I may have known their last names, but I don't know necessarily what they were responsible for. So a lot of the times it was just like my first experience with these real life scientists. It's like, I wonder what they actually did instead of what they do in this book. Like, one of them is a radioactive atomic head in a jar, and I remember they like break the jar open to kill a bunch of aliens, and then one guy and the whole batch survives, and he's like, "Yeah, you've made me very angry. You'll be hearing from me later on." So that's another plot thread that I imagine will be untangled later down the line. Cosm, what did you think of the changes Hickman made to scientists like Oppenheimer, Einstein, etc.?
Yeah, the skeletal dude was Harry Dougleon, super genius American physicist, and then irradiated, obviously. But back to your question. Well, most of them I know superficially. Oppenheimer, and everybody knows. Einstein, everybody knows. Richard Feynman, I have heard about him in the vast distances. No idea what he actually did. Enrico Fermi, same thing. Werner von Braun, some German guy. Groves, FDR, well, again, you know him as a president, that's about it. Harry S. Truman, again, don't know the guy. Yuri Gagarin, I knew that was the first cosmonaut. Not, but, and like the dog. Helmut Gottlob, no idea, and Dmitry Ustinov, also no idea. So, from the get-go, you only have so many connection points with so many characters, and the rest is just interesting to see their journey, but you don't have any particular stake in them. From the other 2 or 3 that you probably know, you have some vested idea of, okay, this is what they quote-unquote are, and now what they are going to be. The Oppenheimer one was more an idea of, I believe that he actually ate him completely, because that's how he got his soul or something. That was very weird or whatever. But yeah, essentially he got split personality from that, and everybody he eats, he then gets their brain powers and stuff. Albert and Albert Einstein. Yeah, it was Albrecht Einstein, so it wasn't the other. I'm not sure even if he was evil, because what the Albrecht did, he also made the door, but was unable to use it. So essentially, he wasn't. What he also said in the context, when he wasn't smart enough to use the device, he was smart enough to build it, but he didn't have the pi idea to actually solve it or actually activate the door. That was kind of interesting. It's like, okay, so is it evil? I'm not sure. You normally don't bash people over the head, of course, but yeah, motivations all around very weird, very strange. Yeah, the only thing that I wrote down is that throughout the book, I found no sense of danger in the book.
Mm.
The idea of things just happen. Especially with the aliens, because it's very weird. Throughout most of the book, they are asking or saying like, "We have to reach for the stars." Okay, I'm quite sure that these people together can make that happen. First off, then we have somebody who has an interdimensional supergate that can go to, well, to some form of space, I would assume, or at least end up in a different planet. We have Torii gates that have some form of transdimensional shifting going on, or at least as a gateway of some form. It's like, okay, the stakes already, in the upper limits, and we are discussing about, I want to fly to the stars. Like, guys, you already got there somewhere. So yeah, and when they destroyed the aliens, it was like, okay, this was an easy solution. I just irradiate them, and that's over. And then you have the guy that survives and pisses off, like, with a warning. It's like, yeah, okay, I think that is the problem of the book. And if you start thinking about it too much, this is where you end up with. Like, yeah, but and this and how and so. The depictions of the guys, it's interesting. That's all I can say. I know not enough about these particular geniuses or to make an assessment. Okay, but even with I did see the Oppenheimer movie, but seeing this, it's like so vastly different. There's no connection point almost beyond the name. Yeah, he's a physicist. Well, you got that part right. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and the idea of there's no sense of danger could be a question that's posed to the entire group here. Like, did you ever feel a sense of danger while reading the Manhattan Projects? For me, the only time I felt it is whenever the mummy was going for the dog, because I felt like, oh, if Hickman's gonna kill anyone in this like crazy book, it might be the dog. But then, of course, Yuri shows up and kills the mummy, and shows that science always wins over magic, which was very interesting, to say the least. But that was the only time that I ever felt danger. Like, even at the end, whenever the German scientist was going to go shut down FDR, I was like, he's gonna find some way to survive this. Like, if he could survive, the end of World War II, he's gonna make his way out of it like a cockroach. He's always gonna find a way to survive something. There's that saying where, like, even if an atomic bomb were to drop on a place, that a cockroach would still survive and make its way through it. Um, and that's very much what the German scientist did, because we show that he's like all dismembered after shutting down the FDR AI, and that he ends up getting some robotic parts to help him live with his new injuries. I guess I'll pass on that question to Letrix. Letrix, did you ever feel a sense of danger while reading this?
No, I never even reflected over it. I was having so much fun reading it. It's like when Garth Ennis just goes crazy doing all sorts of crazy shit, and they have a very different way of writing people talking. This is the way up Hickman Street, having people just sound sometimes very more intelligent than the average reader. So but you don't feel like you're stupid and didn't get it. Uh, you don't have to get everything because he guides you through the story. You see what happens. They are very good at showing it on the page as well. But it also, with exceptions where they sort of go back and show something from before, as soon as you're in the now, everything moves very quickly throughout the book. So yeah, he's not stopping for anything. It feels like it's written to just keep on going for however long they can uh, have time for the book. Like there, it doesn't feel like it has a very much of an end game. He just wants to do this book and see how far he can get.
Yeah, it was a very buttery smooth read, if you will. Like there were no points where I had to like check the page count to see where I was at in the book. I just kept going, and then suddenly the book was over, and that was it. And it's certainly a book that you could get through. I'd say like within an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. I think that's probably what I finished it, although I didn't time myself while doing it. And also, I could definitely see how Jonathan Hickman could write Fantastic Four after reading this and just seeing all the science shenanigans they get up to, and just imagining, well, what if this was Reed Richards? Yeah, I could definitely see the connection there. Uh, Carter, did you ever feel a sense of danger while reading this?
Um, Probably only at the end of issue 1, where we find out about the whole split personality psychopath stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, that's where I kind of thought the book was going, like sort of a lurking murder vibe. And then it wasn't, and then it was just super goofy the whole time, which, I mean, that's not like a bad thing necessarily. It's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of depending on how hardly attached you are to your expectations. But I thought it was good nonetheless.
Awesome. And what did you think of the changes made to people like Oppenheimer, Einstein, and others?
Yeah, I don't really know enough to complain or compare. I know various names like Fermi, mostly from like Fermi's paradox, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then so I usually Google a new character, and then a couple of minutes into Googling, I'm like, I realize I just don't care, and then I just go back to reading the book. It doesn't really matter for the sake of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty creative either way. So sometimes I think about this Einstein compared to like Einstein and Red Coat, but I guess really neither of them are super close to who actual Einstein that we think of today. So
Yeah, I've never read Redcoat, so I didn't know that Einstein was in it. So that's very interesting to hear. Letrix, what did you think of the changes made to Oppenheimer, Einstein, and the other scientists?
Oh, yeah, same. I don't know enough about their lives and stuff like that. I did watch a Oppenheimer movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I had already read this one before, so yeah. But I can say that first time I read it, it really surprised me that he was just taking it this way and
Mm-hmm.
not doing some historical relations like these magic things. They didn't massacre the other president, and he. We don't know if he had orgies with this secret Illuminati cult or whatever, So, yeah, that's so crazy that we even get to see it. Those scenes are so fun. But yeah, I I really like how he just downplays how uh, their genius, because they are obviously very, very clever people, and he puts them in. They do stuff that sometimes is so stupid, but and smart people do stupid stuff too. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's so fun to read. So I really love it. And at the end, you have the cast where he explains uh, everyone is like a super genius here of the scientists, except Albert Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
He's highly intelligent. He's not. Everyone else has uh, is being called super genius. And Yuri Gagarin, not a genius. Laika, the dog, way smarter than thought, speaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a very fun book. I don't care about whether they are uh, like based on their personalities so
Mm-hmm.
much.
The next question I have written down is 10 issues in, and we've seen the team fight Nazis, aliens, and even FDR. What did you think of the chaos this book showcases? Like I said before, this is just Jonathan Hickman saying yes and building on top of whatever ideas he has in the book. Uh, we've talked about how we did not expect the book to go this way. Uh, I thought it was going to be, again, more of a grounded science perspective of the Manhattan Projects, which I probably shouldn't have thought that way, judging off the cover, because we see Truman in his like Illuminati disguise on the cover, and just seeing that, you could probably guess that yeah, this is gonna go in some crazy directions, but I did not anticipate where this book would go. And I also want to pose the question alongside this is where do you think the book will go next? I know that Letrix has read ahead farther than any of us, so you probably know where the book is going to go. But for me, I think it could be fun. Of course, we ended with issue 10 showing the civil war between the different Oppenheimers that's going to start. But in terms of the other scientists, I think it would be fun to have them go search down some like local myths, like say if they go after the Loch Ness monster or Bigfoot and see what those scientists do. Like, do those creatures exist in this world? I mean, aliens do. So who's to say that Bigfoot or the Loch Ness monster doesn't exist? And if they do exist, what's Albert Einstein going to do to them? Is Oppenheimer going to eat Loch Ness monster's like head or something? I think that could be a lot of fun. I I would like for it to go in that direction, but I don't think it'll go in that direction. So, Cosm, what did you think of the chaos in this book, and where did you think it'll go next?
When I started reading it, mind it was the Bioshock game, the first one, when they decided when you have Rapture essentially, and where every scientist or person can do whatever f they want, and
Mhm.
then eventually that's the vibe that I got from. Okay, here are people that are just going to do stuff, even if it's morally ambiguous or like not well done at all. This is their playground essentially. So with that said in the background, that's what maybe what it reminded me of. Where it's going. Um, I think it's most likely again. We see that issue 10 that it's just going to go to. I mean, Oppenheimer is arguably from the super genius that we have, at least for the moment that we have seen, is the most capable intelligence-wise. And he has the most ramping power because he can absorb everybody else if he wants to, essentially, and he has done already so. So he's basically an infinite font of knowledge that he can build upon. So I think it's what he was thinking first was like, okay, they're going to go back to the American versus the Russian war because they lost the portal or something that what happened. So I thought it was more that kind of a conflict, and I was like, oh wait, no, we're just going to see the conflict within Oppenheimer, and whatever comes out of that, I can have no idea on what's going to happen next. And I think that's also the fun part of this book, because you really have no idea. I don't think it's going to be the Loch Ness Monster, although I think it's most likely going to wrap up any potential alien stuff that we have seen throughout the book. Perhaps again, the Russian thing on that might have some form of conclusion. But yeah. Yeah, no clue.
Yeah, maybe there's a scenario where Oppenheimer ends up eating the other scientists to absorb their knowledge into his brain, and he becomes the leader of the scientist group. That's certainly a possibility that I just now started thinking of, and again, it's whatever Jonathan Hickman decides to go, and I don't think we can really like nail down where he's gonna go with this book just by judging how these previous 10 issues have gone. Uh, Carter, what did you think? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just say at the chapter 9, you have the blank check from the new president. So yeah, so and that's Kennedy, and you see Feynman saying to Bernard von Braun, who says, "What are we going to do now? What do you think, Werner? Whatever we want." So they can just work with the Russians, have their technology, work with them probably. That's what you can at least surmise from this. And then there's the Oppenheimer internal war, and uh, that's interesting because now there's maybe a chance for one of the other Oppenheimers or creatures to take over uh, the body and be the so-called alpha, one who is in control of the body and using their intellect. So yeah, maybe one of them comes back. It could be the alien. It could be Robert coming back in Joseph's body, and yeah. So these are just the very simple things that you can see. Like they are going to just go further with the star program and the war stuff with aliens. That's what I can surmise from just reading all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the breakneck speed with some things. You have this whole Illuminati. You have at a certain point you see that the guy essentially says, "No, we're going to take over you guys from the government." Essentially, who's fighting back, and then in 5 pages, the Illuminati is dealt with. It's two various reasons. It's like, okay, I guess it's what like normally this takes like a whole arc almost, and it's like, okay, 5 pages done. So it's like, okay, there's he can make any tempo or pace what he wants to essentially with this book, and solve issues immediately if he wants to, because that's how high the power levels are of his characters, generally speaking, or can be.
Yeah, and that montage has one of my favorite moments in the book, which we'll get to here in a moment. But Carter, what did you think of the chaos in the book? And do you have an idea of where this book might go next?
Yeah, the chaos was. I mean, I think we've been talking pretty much the entire time about the chaos. That it's disorienting in that you kind of keeps you off balance the entire time, but it's not so crazy that it's detrimental or that it dissuades you from coming back. I think it certainly could. There's probably certain people that maybe are a little less seasoned comics readers than say the average person on this server or whatever. But I think it's kind of strikes a pretty good balance. And I would like to think that at the end it's going to be some mastermind wrap up, despite Hickman's reputation as someone who keeps leaving stories dangling and leaves readers unsatisfied. But my assumption would be probably that what's his name, the real Oppenheimer is going to get control of his body, probably defeat, the Manhattan Projects, whatever they're calling themselves, Los Alamos or whatever, for the good of society or something like that. And then I don't know, maybe he takes over the world because he goes a little bit too crazy or something like that. I think it's gonna definitely revolve around the real Oppenheimer and him versus everyone else.
Yeah, and that could be a great segue to my next question, which is which character or subplot grabbed you the most? So the character and subplot are different for me. The character that grabbed me the most is Albert Einstein, just because I love what's going on with this character in the book, and also whenever we see him like wielding a pistol on the space station, that was very fun to see. And then two, my favorite subplot is actually what's going on with Oppenheimer, because I am very interested to see uh, who gains control of the mind. Is it going to be Robert or is it going to be Joseph? And see what they're going to continue to do. Are they going to try to get the Feast of Kings achievement from Fallout New Vegas, which is where if you eat eat the bodies of all of the main leader of the factions in the game. Like, is he going to try to eat every leader in the world and try to get that achievement? I don't know. That's something this book could do if they really wanted to. Um, but those were the two things that really grabbed me. Uh, Letrix, which character or subplot grabbed you the most?
Yeah, it is Oppenheimer. That's like an ongoing thing all the time. And I'm surprised how interested I was with the Nazi. Uh, Like, we get some kind of character arc instead of, uh, uh, sorry, in spite of being a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are moments where they are sort of, you know, caring for each other for the sake of the program and the cause and all that. So they try to like be on each other's side. We'll see how far that goes, but I mean he gets his body destroyed, and Feynman is trying to help him, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and he also don't really give a damn about the old Nazi way. He just want to build the rockets. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but he's also the one who can get rockets flying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not anyone else's expertise.
Yeah, and he would also like take credit of the other Nazi in the book, which is Helmet, who ended up becoming one of the Death Monks towards the end.
Yeah.
Um, like,
And Yuri Gagarin and Laika, I love their uh, appearance and joining the gang. And Yuri's kind of, he's definitely not one of the geniuses. So, but he's an astronaut, and he's the only one who's been in actual space. The others have traveled to other planets, but that's through a portal. They
mm-hmm.
need to get the ships in the stars and be able to travel that way too. And yeah, and surprising with Laika walking around with machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Uh, Cosm, what was your favorite character or subplot in the book?
Uh, Also, Oppenheimer, I have to say, I find that at the moment the most interesting because it's the most character that I always like psychological stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
multiple personalities, schizophrenia, whatever you want to do it. Yeah, I just find it interesting, and I found it in a way put here that it's not like not like in the real world or anything, but it's like okay, yeah, I want to see where this is going, especially the whole World War or like more like the Cold War within the idea, and see who gets on top in that sense. Which again, can take 3 issues, can take 5 pages. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you never know with this book, so it just depends on how long they're going to go with it. What I also noticed when I found an interesting plot is at the moment that Feynman seems to realize that Einstein isn't really the Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Albrecht kind of did is what he kind of used the the rich Illuminati guy or whatever to
Mm-hmm.
actually, give him all his money, and then he shunts him out into space, and he gets, he dies obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the moment that Feynman thinks like, wait a second, this is not how we normally tend to operate. I mean, he cooperates with them because they're pals, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just there's a moment that Feynman probably understands like, hey, this is not the Einstein that we are talking about, at least seemingly. I might be reading into it too much, but who knows? Yeah, in regards to what was his name again? Werner von Braun. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can argue that if he even was a Nazi to begin with, because he literally lied to Hitler and saying, the cause, but Hitler thought that his cause was not his cause essentially, and he
Mm-hmm.
got double cause, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, he just wants to see the stars apparently, or go into space.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, Werner von Braun, like, his cause is propelling science into like the reaches that he would like to see. Like, Hitler was just a stepping stone towards the greater path that von Braun sees before him. So that was certainly interesting to see his dynamic in the book and how he interacted with the other scientists and how uh, willing he was to go from working with the Nazis to working with the Americans. Certainly an interesting turn of events. Carter, what was your favorite character or subplot in the book?
That's definitely a difficult question. I think it kind of changes depending on the issue. I feel like, obviously, the Oppenheimer one is pretty interesting. Like everyone else was saying, I guess one that stands out to me is the dog. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why can he talk? Or she, Leica, is that her name? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, well, why does she talk? Like, does something happen to her in space, or like what's going on? So I'd like them to follow up on that, especially she has like machine guns or whatever from that they were fighting off the whichever the Japanese or no, they're from the AI robots, I think.
The Mummy.
Yeah, I don't remember whoever they were fighting off. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, probably a dog, and then I had someone else I was gonna say, but I can't. Oh, Einstein. I think it's why he's like so obsessed with the door was quite interesting. That we kind of find out a little bit. So I'm curious where he's gonna go next.
Mm-hmm.
How if he's gonna kind of go along with the rest of the project going forward, or if he's gonna sort of like quit and maybe rebel a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because you mentioned the dog, and the book is so insane that I didn't even actually notice or find it strange that the dog was talking to begin with. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, now that you say it, it's like, oh yeah, fuck, indeed, the dog talks. It was like, and he even had like, odd, almost like miniguns into a side strap, but like, you just shrug and go along with it. It's like, okay, yeah, that's fit, but yeah, when you start thinking, it was like, okay, hey, there should be more here.
Yeah. Uh, it's Leica, which is the dog's name. That's a reference to the first creature, or one of the first creatures that were ever shot into space. And I believe the whole thing about Leica is the Soviets did not put like a way for the rocket to return
Yep,
to Earth.
indeed.
So yeah, the real life Leica did not make future appearances, so to speak. Um, I guess we can move on to the next question, which was, what was your favorite WTF moment in the book? For me, it comes from the montage towards the end, whenever they're killing off the members of the secret Illuminati group. And I'm going to try to find the specific page, but it has to deal with the general and the leader of the Russians. Yeah, I found it. So you have the robe and the guy that represents new money basically in the general's office, and they find out that one of the guys peed all over the general's office, and he says, Minister Ustinov, did that son of a bee just say what I think he said? And he said, if you're asking, did he just admit to peeing all over your floor, then yes, I'm afraid we're going to have to sterilize the room. And then they burn everything in the room. And then right after all of that is over, they start talking about, I'm going to have to repaint, I think almond this time. And then the Russian leader says, a warm brown would look good. Butterscotch, perhaps? And the general responds, maybe mocha. And it's like right after killing everyone in this fiery death, you're talking about repainting the walls, which just got a good chuckle out of me and was a really great WTF moment. Carter, what was your favorite WTF moment in the book?
Probably the moment where I was like, okay, I understand what this is now. Is like when the red Tory gate appears and
Mm-hmm.
like all the robot samurai rush out and they talk about like the death Buddhists and all that. I was like, all right, this is some crazy shit I'm about to read. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of probably the standout moment for me.
Yeah, you just see this absolute bloodbath, and then Oppenheimer goes crazy whenever one of the robots touches his foot, and he's like, "Don't touch." Like, he is certainly a guy that if he lived today, he would be hating AI all over social media and probably committing heinous acts against like the AI databases and stuff if you were real. Uh, Lectrix, what was your favorite WTF moment in the book?
Um, it's probably Farmy turning out to be some kind of alien monster.
Mm-hmm.
It's in issue 7 when the Americans come to the projects and are going to take it over. And he just turns into an alien with only Harry Daghlian standing there, the guy who is a radioactive skeleton
Mm-hmm.
in the suit, and he kills them. And then you finish the whole rest of the book, this first book, and well, I have the hardcover, so it's all in one book, and it's never come back yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that's what the fuck. I sort of knew it, but it also was something I kind of had forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in this read, there's so much in this book, so yeah, that's the one that surprised me that it happened so soon,
Mm-hmm.
and it never comes back in the following issues. They probably should have talked about what the hell that was about, but they are not yet. So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine this would be something that they might touch on in future issues. But again, that was definitely a surprise to be sure. Like, whenever you see in the very bottom panel, let's see, 4, 5, in panel 6, whenever you see his hands change and like his fingers are all long and his hands are gray, I was like, yeah, something's about to happen. And then you turn the page, and then you see the monster that he turns out to be. And I was like, well, if he's a monster, then why is he wearing the spacesuit or the contamination suit? Maybe it's just to make him seem like he's not a monster, and then whenever he needs to surprise someone, then he can reveal himself. Kazum, what was your favorite WTF moment in the book?
Similar to came down powered by Zen powered by dead Buddhists. Like, yeah, at that point I knew kind of what I was getting into. It was like, yeah, I don't have to think anymore. I just have to, go with the flow and see what it happens and where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those moments like, yeah, I shouldn't take this serious in the sense of you don't have to analyze it beyond recognition because, boy, yeah. So that was it. It was like at that point it was like, okay, I can rest back and enjoy the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And my last two questions are about the artwork. So before we get to that, is there any story things y'all would quickly like to touch on before we move on to the art aspect of the book? No? Okie dokie. Then we can start with the first art related question, which is what did you think of Nick Pitara's artwork? Nick Pitara's artwork actually reminded me of one of my favorite indie video games, which is a video game called Sally Face. The artwork in it reminds me a lot of what Pitara did in this. Pitara is a bit more um, detailed than, say, Steve Gabry, who is the artist and basically did everything for Sally Face. Trying to get an image, but my computer is being a bit slow today. Um, but the artwork sort of reminded me of Sally Face, so I was on board as soon as I saw the artwork. And seeing all of the little knickknacks, say, such in Einstein's room, was very interesting to see, and definitely made me interested to check out more of their work and to see what else they've done. So I really liked Nick Pitara's artwork. I don't have any pages that I would like to call out at the moment. Maybe if I think of something, then I'll put it in the community book club chat. But yeah, really great artwork, and I think it definitely fits the craziness and wackiness of this story. Cosm, what did you think of Nick Pitara's artwork?
Incredibly detailed, but not for me.
Mm.
I can see where it's exactly coming from. I like it in general, but I wouldn't say this is like in my top 10 or anything. It's just
Mm-hmm.
I find it very appropriate for the book. It does the gore and everything perfectly well, especially the mechanical things. I like everything that's scientific looks like very fiddly and real to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and beyond that. What I probably would have seen now that we again last week Tinian's the layout is very standard. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have any spreads as far as I can remember, if any at all. So it's like the six. It's a simple setup. It doesn't break any molds, does anything interesting in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
It just does everything well in high detail and that kind of stuff. It doesn't come off as simple. Even when it can for sort of end. But again, it's not my perfect cup of tea, but it's not bad or anything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't probably buy it for the art, but I think for what it's doing here, it's perfectly serviceable, and the character distinguishments are very easily to follow. You see what everybody is within a glance, and that's always something I found very nice to see, which I had a little bit of a problem with last week or the week before that with Tinians. The guy who did that kind of art. It's like shit. Who was this face again and who it belonged to? In this book, you don't have that problem at all. It's just so visibly striking and individual that you don't have that issue. At least
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Yeah, every character stands out immediately, so you don't get confused with like who's who. Even if I have like a bad time remembering characters' uh, names in the book, I still like know who they are and what they're doing in the book. So definitely, like it's very easy to follow, and I can see how this wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely my personal cup of tea. Carter, what did you think of Nick Pitara's artwork in this?
Similarly, I thought it was very appropriate for the book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't say that I like either love or hate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of middle of the road for me. I think it's definitely the kind of art style that lends itself more so to indie books, not anything like Big Two.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fine. It's probably not going to be my favorite just because I don't feel like it's not versatile enough, but I do think the style holds a lot of weight for what it would be good for and could really elevate the right story, which I think this is one of those kind of stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely see how this might not work for a big two book. I'm actually trying to think of if there's a certain character that this might work for, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. So, yeah,
Maybe like Plastic Man or something, that would be gross.
yeah, something that gets into the body horror, maybe like a a Clayface book. With the new movie coming out, I could probably see that working. Um, yeah, definitely, it definitely fits the indie space. Um, Letrix, what did you think of Nick Pitara's artwork in it?
Yeah, I've only read one more thing or two, a one-shot Shield issue
Mm-hmm.
with Hickman and another miniseries called Red Wing or The Red Wing, and I think that's a four-issue mini. And I also read an interview about his uh, the changes he did to his art style from Red Wing to this book, and he talks specifically about what you said about the faces
Mm-hmm.
and instantly recognizable because he started practicing after a time to just make the silhouette of the characters so that if he did the face and it was just a silhouette, you could still see who's who.
Mhm.
So that's how I started practicing and making all the faces right, and standing out from each other.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's instantly recognizable, and it's easier to tell them apart in this one. It's almost like he did like exaggerated caricature,
Mhm.
but not as wild as street artists who make a quick picture. But
Mhm.
it's that kind of style, and it's really fun because that style they draw very fast, and this is very detailed, and that's really fun to see. All the technical stuff like gears and all the yeah, like something like this, just
Mhm.
them
Yeah,
building
the
the bomb, and
yeah, the science stuff.
yeah, all the science stuff, and and all the people's faces, and the it's really cool with the coloring as well, with these red
Mhm.
and blue pages. And this is Einstein building the door
Mhm.
before he walked through it, and yeah, and it's not the same Einstein who walks back through the door, so he didn't know how to open it again. Yeah. Yeah, I really love it, and yeah, I agree. It's not the kind of style you usually get on big two books.
Mhm.
It does remind me a bit of someone like Gabriel Walta. Not in the style, but they that's also a guy who not isn't the first guy for big two comics,
Mhm.
and but he has done several things. He's on Absolute Batman for Villain Issues, I think, alongside with Nick Dragotta, and that's also a guy that you wouldn't think of the first case for Big Two, but it can work.
Mhm.
I don't know which one, but yeah. Uh, Vision with Tonking, which we talked about yesterday as a little, that's Gabriel Waltown.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Gabriel Walta's stuff, at least that I can name off of the top of my head. My last art related question is what did you think of Jordi Belaire's colors? Jordi is everywhere. Like anytime I'm reading a book, you see colors by Jordi Belaire, and in this you continue to get more of their excellent work. Like Lectrix, I love the blue and red scenes that we get. I love whenever a comic uses a very limited color palette, and so sticking to blues and reds and whites for those scenes was very interesting for me, and it was very easy to tell like what you're trying to get across during those scenes. Like, say, the bad Oppenheimer is represented by the red, whereas the good Oppenheimer is represented by the blue. So it's very easy to keep track of the characters that way. And yeah, I think Jordi Belair does a very good job in it. Not any specific pages that I would like to call out for this, but yeah, I think it's a very good job by Jordy. Uh, Letrix, do you have a certain page or panel or just want to talk about Jordy Beller's colors in general?
Yeah, I like when you see something meaty like
Mm-hmm.
on Werner here. That's really cool. Like you get where all the damage on his limbs is mostly, and where it's more normal colored. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there are these moments with all the shades and keeping everyone and everything separate very nicely in this book. So
Mm-hmm.
it does enhance the experience a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at the back matter of the volume, and I'm looking at the initial artwork that was sent to the pitch, and it's very interesting to like compare and contrast what those pages looked like compared to what we got in the actual book. Like Oppenheimer's design is a lot less unique in the original artwork. So I like that it was changed to stand out a bit more. And again, the colors are more vibrant in the beginning, whereas this feels a lot darker, a lot more realistic, if you will. So uh, I'm glad that they decided to change how things went within the actual book. So that's what I have to say about that. Carter, what did you think of Jordy Belair's colors in this?
So initial thought is that it's nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I like the red and blue usage on a lot of flashbacks, like you said. I think that's pretty effective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I started kind of browsing through um, pages, and it's a little different because I'm working on digital for this one. But I
Mm-hmm.
screen capped this one, and I think this really shows kind of the skill at play here, where
Mm-hmm.
like you can see just the slight change in tone of like the shadows and how the different crags on the face have those shadows. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think, like you said, Jordy colors so many different books that he's just so good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those books where the coloring is so good and effective that you don't really notice how good it is constantly
Mm-hmm.
until you like really think about looking at just how detailed it is, especially on when you have like a more simplistic art style. I don't mean that pejoratively. Just this art style is, in general, I think a little more simplistic than some others um,
Mm-hmm.
that we see in comics, since people really love the whole extra detailed thing. But when you have more simplistic artwork like this, I think the coloring needs to do a lot more heavy lifting to appeal to more people. So I do think that this is very good work by Jordy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, even though you like it doesn't really stand out at first, I think that's a testament to Jordy's skill, because if it did stand out and it was more of a uh, jarring sort of thing, like it turned you off of the artwork because the coloring wasn't great. Let's say like in the latest One World Under Doom stuff, I know Tyler has been talking about how characters uh, look off because of the coloring, and so that puts off certain readers off of that book. Whereas this, everything looks great whenever you get into the very limited color palettes with the blues and reds. It really stands out and makes those moments more impactful. And whenever it goes all crazy with the colors, let's say like whenever the scientists go and wipe out the aliens in that Congress room, that was very interesting as well to see all the different colored aliens and all of the like green blood that was left out afterwards. Again, just really great work by Jordy. Kazum, what did you think of the colors in this?
Everything is super high contrast, so everything kind of jumps off at each other and with each other, which is kind of nice. You have often colors together that seemingly naturally don't go together well on any form of color wheel, but it simply works for whatever he's trying to do, either through happenstance, like going with the blue or the red Oppenheimer against the green glow, that kind of stuff. It just naturally doesn't go together, but it goes well together for here.
Mm-hmm.
And similar to the idea of what the art is. Yes, it's simplistic, and however, the coloring does give it that little bit more depth that actually, doesn't make the art look flat that much as it is. With what I would maybe foreseeing with other different colorists, that you might have the problem that everything gets a little bit flat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and here I didn't have that issue with. I like the vibrant, clashing colors. It gives a little bit, adds to the chaos of the book, adds to the idea of the book as well. It gives a little bit more of a continuous flair. Each page kind of, um, yeah, it gives some form of unity to everything.
Mm-hmm.
It binds everything together when particular segments are playing out, especially the good versus bad elements, and then how they For instance, yeah, like Laika is like positive and stuff like that. While the Americans are depicted sometimes as red, especially
Hmm.
when you have those. So it gives a little bit of an idea behind it. Yeah, who's quote unquote good, who's quote unquote bad.
Hmm.
So yeah, I find it's entertaining in that sense.
Absolutely. Um, my last question is: would you recommend this book to anyone? And for me, I would say yes, with the caveat of I I would need to know if the person's down for like a crazy science adventure. Like if they're looking for a more realistic science book, I would not give them this. I would give them like the novel of The Martian, so to speak. Like I feel that that's more scientific. Again, still has some fantastical elements to it, whereas this is like, no, if you love your wacky science adventures and just the shenanigans certain books get up to, then you would probably enjoy this a whole lot. So it really depends on the person that I'm recommending this to. Um, Cosm, would you recommend this to anyone?
Going with the caveat that you essentially said, and I would echo that. I would say no. It's so far out there that I see that I can enjoy it. Simply because I enjoy this kind of madness, but I can see that not many people would probably. Yeah, this is not an entry thing of any kind. So yeah, I found the story funny and enjoyable, but I don't think it would be for quote unquote the masses
Mm-hmm.
in that sense. So yeah, like what you said, essentially you have to know the person if he is up for an acid trip that doesn't go along any lines of any historical accuracy beyond, hey, look, the guy's a genius and that's about it. For the
Mm-hmm.
rest, just leave it at the door and that's fine. And I think that will also most likely also be the off-putting part. People picked it up with the idea of, oh, we're going to have a story about perhaps Oppenheimer or whatever, and then they are, you know, and yes, the cover does give it away to a certain degree, but covers are there to attract stuff, not always to depict the accuracy or whatever's going inside of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would probably say no, as, unless you know that somebody likes this kind of stuff.
I get you. I get you. Letrix, would you recommend this to anyone?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you find a band that you really dig and you
Mm.
know it's very much your own taste, and it's very hard to get other people to feel the same as you. So I would be setting myself up for a big disappointment, probably, if I start recommending this just left and right. So it's very much depends. They need to be into like already comics and have done the big two and are more getting more into
Indeed.
same but indie and really are into different art than big two art and
Mm-hmm.
something I have to know that they are already reading like stuff that can get violent and have kind of twisted humor to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what they want, this is right up their street, or at least they should try it. So that's the only way I could recommend it. But personally, I love it, so I don't mind talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. Carter, would you recommend this to anyone?
I would say yes. I think it's sort of a testament to the storytelling that most of us were like, I have no idea who most of these people are,
Mm-hmm.
and we still all pretty much enjoyed it. And I'm sure even if you do know, you probably get a little more of a kick out of the different
Mm-hmm.
personifications. And the art style is sort of where I stick on recommending things. So because I always sort of think of it this way: is like, would I recommend this to an entrenched comic reader versus a new reader? I think your average comic reader, yes. I think
Mm-hmm.
they could definitely pick this up and enjoy it, no matter their taste. For the average person, I do think it leans a little more towards the yes, despite the art style, since I do think that could be off-putting for the general masses. But overall, I would say yes.
Okay. Amin, you haven't really had a chance to chime in since you haven't read the book yourself. So, if you're available to talk, I would love to know if we have sold you on reading the Manhattan Projects, or if this is going to be something that you'll skip.
No, I mean, it sounds really interesting. Like, I actually joined because I thought it was gonna be like about science, but then when you started talking about Oppenheimer eating his brother, I was like, okay, I think this is a little bit different. But it really sounds interesting, and I didn't know that it was written by Hickman, so that's for sure like something to look forward. Like I like you guys really sold me out for it. Like I'll probably get the trade or something.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds pretty cool, and the art, like you guys mentioned, I'm seeing like the images that you're sharing, all that. It's like okay, it kind of reminds me. I don't know if you guys have read the Superman Kryptonite Spectrum that came out like a month ago.
I saw the
It was by
pals
the
review it, but I have not
yeah
checked it out.
yeah it is by the same creative team behind Ice Cream Man,
Mhm.
and the art kind of reminds me to Martin
Mm.
that works in that book. So I'm looking at the art. It looks pretty cool. So I'll probably give it a shot.
Okay, well, we have sold one person on the Manhattan Projects, which I would count that as a success. Um, I think that's going to do it for the Manhattan Project section of this book club meeting. To close out the current list that we have, the next book we'll be reading is Into the Unbeing, which I believe only has one volume out right now because volume 2 releases in October. So we wouldn't be able to cover, like, I think it's towards the end of October as well. So we wouldn't be able to cover volume 2's content by then because I imagine a lot of us would probably just read it by the trade since it's a indie series, and I'm not sure if it'd be on Comixology, something like that. So that will be the next book we read. And also, if you would like to drop in your recommendations into the community book club chat, I can go ahead and start compiling the lists for the next bit of books that we'll be talking about. I know there's been some discussion about recommending The New Frontier, Darwin Cook's New Frontier in there, so that could be a lot of fun to cover. I've been trying to think of what I would recommend, and a part of me wants to recommend a Marvel book just because we've been reading a lot of DC lately, so maybe changing something to the Marvel side could be a bit of fun. But I'm not too experienced in the Marvel side of things, so I'm not sure what I would recommend. I did jokingly say The Death of the Inhumans could be a fun read, but we'll see about that. Uh, does anyone have an idea of what they'd like to recommend for the community book club?
Yeah, I think one of the two Avengers, No Surrender and No Way Home, would be nice because we have been mentioning it several times, but there are several people saying they haven't read it yet. So maybe that's something interesting. It's probably the latest actual Avengers book that I have enjoyed. That's as in uh, continuity or out of continuity, but counts. And it's they are also House of Ideas project. So there are several writers working together, like Mark Wade and Jim Sub and so on. So it's a smaller attempt to do a little bit like 52.
Yeah, I I haven't read it, so that could definitely be a lot of fun to check out as well. Cosm, do you have a book that you're thinking about recommending?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking, I have too much shit in the you've seen my wall. So I don't know. It can be anything. I'm more susceptible to I would say either out of continuity, but nothing that nothing that goes like an omnibus thickness. And also not something in between certain aspects or lines. If I start reading whatever you guys were suggesting, if I want to know the death of humans, I probably also need to know the Inhumans themselves to begin with. It's not something you pick up and you read out of nowhere, I would assume. So beyond that, yeah, no idea. I can start spouting shit, but it doesn't really help or anything in that sense. So I'm just going to see what gets put up and see if we have it or not.
Mhm. Yeah, I have not
Yeah,
read.
this is no surrender. So I think it's 12 issues long,
Mhm.
and it's Al Ewing, Mark Wade, and Jim Saab.
Yeah, most of the stuff we've been covering is about 12 issues, and that tends to fit within the like 2 week gaps that we normally take since we meet bi-weekly. So anything that's like 12 issues max uh, works really well. And if we have to split it up into multiple meetings, of course we can. Uh, that's probably what we'll end up doing for the Nice House by the Sea, because I know Steve wanted to talk about that book, so that will probably end up in the recommendations. Carter, did you have a book that you're thinking about recommending?
Um, so I guess I don't really have any Marvel suggestions
Mhm.
other than, I haven't read that much Marvel. So I was thinking, I don't know, did have the pals ever done Avengers Twilight on their thing? Because if not, that might be a good one.
I don't think they have. That's the Chip Zdarsky uh, Avengers book,
Yeah,
right?
it looks like it's only 6 issues, so it'd be a quick read. And then for an indie suggestion, one time I was watching Omar's channel and
Mhm.
he was talking about this Port of Earth series that released, and it's only 12 issues, and I guess it's on like indefinite hiatus, which is kind of depressing, but the premise sounded interesting, so might recommend that as well.
Well, it sounds like we have a lot of great recommendations to look forward to. Of course, if you want to drop them in the community book club chat, I will make note of them later on today, as well as I did record this entire session. So, for those of you watching in the future, thanks so much for watching and for listening to our takes on this wacky book.